Here's the announcement from Tuesday. The New Orleans Saints, through head coach Dennis Allen, announced that the team has parted ways with offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael, senior offensive assistant Bob McNell, and wide receivers coach Cody Burns. Pete Carmichael had been with the Saints for 15 years. He was the offensive coordinator for a head coach who ran every single thing about the offense. Once Sean Payton left, Pete Carmichael became the play caller and the de facto head of the offense in New Orleans. He got a couple of years to do it. Decision was made that it's not getting done at a high enough level. So now the Saints, who are clearly keeping Dennis Allen, will be looking for a new offensive coordinator, Myles.
Yeah, this is kind of the continuation of Dennis Allen really reshaping that staff and reshaping that team to fit what his vision is, as opposed to kind of the remnants of the Sean Payton era, right? Because that's kind of what it was in year one. Then he kind of does a little bit of shifting with the coaches. They bring in Derek Carr, who was a quarterback that he drafted with the then Oakland Raiders, and loves Derek Carr. I mean, it is very clear how much he believes in Derek Carr. At least it has been to me, in listening to him speak about Derek Carr. So it's interesting, what happens when the offense doesn't work with the quarterback, right? What happens when Pete Carmichael takes over in like the last 2 years on offense? It's been, let's call it stagnant. There is another person that may be coming in there and that may have some different ideas and that has also worked with Derek Carr before that can make things a little bit better.
Yeah, Jon Gruden, previous reports suggested he could take on a role with the New Orleans offense. Now that the offensive coordinator job is open, that's the most obvious landing spot. And this is complicated. This is delicate on a variety of levels. You've got the Jon Gruden emails that were sent before he was employed by the Raiders during the time that he was out of the NFL altogether working for ESPN. But those emails came to light October of 2021 after the first batch was leaked to the media. Nothing really happened. Life went on. Then the next batch comes out, and you got the impression it was going to continue, and it was going to keep getting worse, and it was going to keep getting worse, and eventually that was that. Not eventually, after the second batch, that's that. He's out. He sues the league, sues the commissioner for leaking these supposedly secret emails. That case was at the Nevada Supreme Court just last week on the question of whether or not the NFL will be able to force it into arbitration so the rest of us can't find out who leaked. They don't want us to know. They want to do everything in secret. They don't want to have accountability. They don't want to have transparency. But, boy, that makes it tough. I reported, I think back in March, April, May, whenever they brought in Gruden for some of the offseason program, that the Saints got no blowback from the league for doing it. It's one thing to bring him in for a practice or two. It's another thing to give him a job on the payroll of an NFL team at a time when he's suing the NFL. I'm not saying this is right. You're supposed to be able to set this stuff aside, just like the Brian Flores lawsuit should be set aside as it relates to him and Steve Wilkes and Ray Horton. But this is just for a team that the NFL already, at least from that team's perspective, they think the NFL hates them. It's not going to do anything to improve relations with 345 Park Avenue if they hire Jon Gruden.
No, but it could improve relations with their offense. I mean, it's interesting, right? If you have Jon Gruden calling your plays on offense, then you have somebody who already understands who Derek Carr is as a quarterback, what Derek Carr likes to run. It's like you're starting on third base as opposed to being in the batter's box, right? I mean, you understand what this offense can do. And I mean, Jon Gruden, he is who he is, right? It's setting aside all of the other things. The man can still kind of coach offense. That's not a secret. Worked with Carson Wentz and helped him before Carson Wentz was able to go with the Los Angeles Rams. And Carson Wentz actually looked like a pretty competent quarterback going against the 49ers backups in week 18. So there are things there where this makes sense from a football standpoint, where even though there is a lot of other stuff that may come along with it, if Jon Gruden's interested in getting back in the game in this way and being somebody's offensive coordinator, that's kind of wild, for him to have been a successful head coach in Tampa Bay, go on that long hiatus of being a coach and being on ESPN, being a really, really good Monday Night Football analyst, comes back with the Raiders, helps move the team to Las Vegas, and now then would be somebody else's offensive coordinator. It's just kind of an interesting career trajectory.
See, I'll disagree with you on really, really good analyst. I think he always held back and he never said what he really believed because he was too busy trying to preserve avenues to the various NFL teams. Okay. If he was truly done, I think that's when an analyst can really flourish into being the best that analyst can be. When there's no concern about having a pathway to this team, not having to mend fences with this owner or this player or whatever. But, it could be at this stage of his life when it's going to be very hard for him to become a head coach in the NFL again. Very hard.
Yes.
You're still involved in the game, and you don't have to deal with any of the bull crap. He probably has no patience for all the stuff that goes along with being a head coach. I can just scheme, and I can grind, and I can work with the quarterback, and I don't have to worry about press conferences like a head coach does. I don't have to worry about all the other crap a head coach has to deal with. It may end up being the perfect arrangement for him if it happens. The NFL will not like it, pending active litigation. If I'm the NFL, I'm trying to figure out a way to settle this. And you got to be careful and delicate when you're doing this. But if he's coming back to the NFL, the best outcome for the NFL would be to find a way to just resolve the litigation and off we go. And let bygones be bygones, and Gruden returns to the Saints. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.